Hey everyone, and welcome to the Doctor Who Season 6 retrospective. First off, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. This season's a bit hard for me because, I got through everything alright, but again, this is the end of an era. In that, Patrick Troughton steps down from the role of the Doctor. And, it's sad to see another, good Doctor go. But that's how things are, and we have to live with that. So basically, as usual, I'm just going to go over arc synopsis, the interesting long-term stuff, the arcs that deal with companions in case you're really invested in characters like Jamie or Zoe, Steven, Barbara, etc. What people did after Doctor Who, and basically just my final thoughts on the series. Well, on the season, rather, sorry. So first off, let's start with arc synopsis. First up, we have the Dominators. I rank this as a fine arc to watch. And basically here, I'm just going to give quick synopses because I talk about this more in my Arc Thought series. Hashtag sponsored. But basically, the Doctor and crew land on the planet Dulcus. It's a planet the Doctor has been to before, and I guess the people are very peaceful. Unfortunately, when some not-so-peaceful people show up, well, things get a bit more complicated. And the Doctor and crew have to work to, protect the people as best they can. So, again, like I said, a fine arc to watch. I thought it was entertaining and interesting, and yeah. So, check it out. The Mind Robber. Again, a fine arc to watch. In this, basically at the end of the Dominators, the Doctor and crew are in some serious danger. Basically, they're in the area of an active volcano and, well, the TARDIS is acting up. The Doctor has to take an emergency measure in order to launch the TARDIS, but the problem is they end up outside of reality, and they have some seriously messed up stuff to deal with. And I will talk more about this arc when I get to interesting and long-term stuff. Next up, we have The Invasion, or The Invasion. First off, definitely worth the watch. Basically, the crew find themselves on Earth once more, and through their travels, they come across Colonel Lethbridge Stewart once more. Except, he's been promoted to Brigadier. And second, he is now with the group known as UNIT, the United Nations International Task Force. For those who may be farther into the series, UNIT is very prevalent, so definitely take note of that. I'm just saying. This was where it started. The Invasion, Season 6. UNIT is interested in this group known as Electromagnetics International. A large electronics conglomerate, making everything from, small pocket radios to large computers and other technological stuff. They have reason to believe that the head of the company, a Mr. Tobias Vaughn, I believe, is up to something more sinister. Namely, heralding an alien invasion, hence the title. Oh my god, I love this arc. I'm just going to say that, and again, it is an arc I will talk more about in a few minutes. Next up, we have the Crotons. Unfortunately, with this arc, I just said, skip it. There's not much there, personally, in my opinion. The crew find themselves on a strange, somewhat primitive planet. They come across humanoid people. I forget their names. But they're tested every so often by these, godlike beings known as the Crotons. And the most intelligent of the people are brought to be companions of the Crotons. However, none of those people ever return for some reason, which is kind of strange. And, well, while investigating the Crotons and all of this, Zoe actually takes one of the tests and is selected to join the Crotons. And well, refusing would mean death for pretty much everyone. So, yeah. It's interesting, but there's nothing like long term. There's nothing great or like, oh my god, I have to see this. It's just very meh, in my opinion. Alright, next up we have The Seeds of Death. Again, I'd say this is a fine arc to watch. The crew arrive on Earth sometime in the future. Basically, teleportation is now the norm for basically going anywhere, whether it's personal travel or shipping. Unfortunately, in the time that they are on, well, around the time that they arrive, there happens to be an issue with the relay station, which is located on the moon. And, well, the Doctor and crew are recruited to check on the situation and hopefully address it. Unfortunately, waiting for them are the Ice Warriors. So, again, like I said, a fine arc to watch. It has some cool, interesting stuff, and I personally enjoyed it. Next up, we have the Space Pirates. Skip. Sorry to say it. Basically, the Doctor and crew end up on a satellite somewhere in space moments before it is blown to pieces so that it can be scrapped for the Space Pirates. Again, there's not a whole lot of interesting stuff going on. It's just very blah to me. Like, I didn't care for it, and there's nothing really noteworthy, in my opinion, so skip. And then, finally, we have the War Games. And this is the arc that ends the season, and ends, Patrick Troughton's role as the Doctor, as well as his two companions, Wendy Padbury as Zoe, and Fraser Hine as Jamie. The Doctor and crew find themselves on a strange battlefield. After interacting with some of the combatants, they ascertain that this is sometime during, it's either the First or Second World War. But yeah, unfortunately there seems to be some larger group pulling the strings behind all of this. And, well, they have to investigate and protect the people. And unfortunately, in doing so, they need some serious help. Help from the Time Lords. But dealing with the Time Lords is never a nice thing. Especially when you're the Doctor and you've stolen some of their technology to travel the universe and interfere with everything. Because, and just some quick spoilers, but it's 50 plus years old. The issue they have with the Doctor is the fact that the Time Lords are basically more like observers. I believe in the Marvel Universe, they're known as the Watchers. They just, see everything in the universe and just observe it and gain knowledge and all that. The Doctor wasn't happy with that and decided, hey, I'm going to take the TARDIS out and I'm going to do good things because I can't let some of these disasters happen. The Daleks, the Cybermen, the Ice Warriors, etc. And yeah, and honestly, it was a good end to the Doctor and crew, and definitely a good end, for the second Doctor, because it's a nice clean break. Honestly, you could start at season 7, you'll be like, okay, who's this Stewart guy? And honestly, not much else. I've seen the first episode at least, so just saying. So let's move on to the interesting and long-term arcs. First up, I have the Dominators. Like I established before, they end up on the planet Dulcus, a planet that's basically just, hey, we found world peace, and we're good with that. And I like this because, it deals with the idea of, okay, here's a not-so-peaceful force coming in and wrecking up the place. That's a cool concept that I've not seen anywhere else, really, and I like that they explore that idea. The invasion. Quick spoilers. The bad guys for this arc are the Cybermen. Honestly, if you Google the invasion, you'll see information about it. Or if you Google Doctor Who episode guide, go to season 6, and you scroll down to the invasion, They're right in the little picture thing because they have pictures with every episode. Oh my god, like, it just had some good action. It had good action. It had, you know, good, interesting plot twists, and I just really very thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, honestly, that was going to be my #1 pick for this season until we got to the War Games. So really, #2 out of 7, and probably the best arc in one of the best arcs for Patrick Troughton. Oh my god. Let's see. The Seeds of Death. Quick spoiler alert, the bad guys are the Ice Warriors. Like, I like having to figure out, okay, well, dealing with the teleportation thing. Like I said, teleportation is the norm now. So much so that we haven't developed anything like cars or rockets or anything like that. So, if the relay system on the moon goes down, it's really hard to get there and tinker with it. And, you know, it just challenges the idea of, like, putting all of your eggs in one basket. Like, they literally use that phrase. You know, it's just interesting, clever, and we get to see some more value from Zoe the character. Also, we got to see some of that value in Zoe with the invasion. Like, seriously, she's a super scientist from the future, and she's got some good good intelligence. Let's see. And then War Games. It's a good arc. It ends Mr. Troughton's era. It ends, you know, both of his companions' eras as well. But just okay, we're in World War I, World War II, whatever, and just, it's interesting. And I really liked it. And then just an honorary mention here, I want to throw out the Mind Robber. Basically, the Mind Robber is like a more sci-fi version of Alice in Wonderland. Like, just some crazy stuff goes on. It's weird and ridiculous because it's outside of reality and just... what? Like, definitely weird, worth the experience, I would say, for sure. And then we have the companion arcs. Well, basically the companion arcs. The arcs that deal with companions. Honestly, we only have the one this time, and that's the War Games. Spoilers. But, after the Doctor and crew, well, after the Doctor's put on trial, it is determined that Jamie and Zoe are going to be sent back to their times. Because, yeah, so, their memories will be wiped except for the very first adventure that they had with the Doctor. So, for Jamie, that's going to be the Highlanders, and for Zoe, that's going to be the Wheel in Space. Beyond that, they're not going to know about the TARDIS and traveling through time and space and all that crap. And it's cool that they get a nice little ending and they get to go back home, but it sucks because I grew attached to these characters. You know, Jamie's Scottish heritage, and just, he was like a son to the Doctor, and they were good friends, and I just hate to see him go. And Zoe, like I said, she's shown great intelligence, great ingenuity, and just, she was a lovely character. And she was a character, you know, unlike some characters I've talked about before. And again, it's not the actor's fault, it's just the writing. Right. And then we have After Doctor Who. For the companions, Patrick Troughton's going to get his own video because he was the Doctor, and there's a lot to talk about. Really quick, you know, Jamie McCrimmon, aka Fraser Hines, was born September 22nd, 1944. As of this shooting, which is actually in June of 2018, he is still with us at the age of 78. Well, 77 now, but 78 by the time you guys see this. He was actually originally intended to be a one-off character. I don't have much more information than that, but yeah. Like, that's interesting. And I'm glad that he got to stay on and be more and do things. And let's see, he would appear again in the 5 Doctor special and make a guest appearance in the serial The Two Doctors in 1985. So, even after the show, he wasn't quite done. Appeared in 117 episodes, more than any other companion in the history of the series. Released the novelty record, Who's Doctor Who? I'm going to put that text above my head because that's a weird one to say. Mr. Hines, Mr. Troughton, and Miss Padbury collectively decided that they were going to step down from the show because at this point they were still doing 44 episode seasons. So that's like pretty much the entire year you're working on the show. And it wears on you. And yeah. Let's see. It says, I have here Mr. Hines. Well, I don't have when Mr. Hines was going to step down, but it was definitely before the end of season 6. But Mr. Troughton convinced him to stay on until the end. So thank you for that. In 2007 going forward, Mr. Hines did some acting in Big Finish productions for Doctor Who audio plays. And appeared in some of the companion chronicles, where he showcased his uncanny ability to mimic Troughton. Like, I don't have any video clips or anything like that, but that's cool to hear. Appeared in an audio trilogy with Colin Baker's Sixth Doctor as an older Jamie. So, the character Jamie isn't even done. 2013, portrayed both Jamie and Second Doctor in the audio play The Light at the End, which was to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the series. From 1972 to 1994, he appeared in the soap opera Emmerdale Farm as Joe Sudgeon. Again, put the name up top. And continued his career in theater and made occasional appearances in other television shows. His biography was published in 1996. Films, Farms, and Fillies. Put the name up. Between film and television, he's been acting for over 60 years, from 1955 to 2015. He was in the James Bond film You Only Live Twice as Mr. Osaka's secretary, as well as Tannoy voice. And we have Zoe Harriet, played by Wendy Padbury. She was born December 7th, 1947, so she would be 71 roughly by the time you guys see this video. 1974, appeared in the stage play Doctor Who and the Daleks and The Seven Keys to Doomsday. That is a really long title. Also appeared in The Five Doctors. Also appeared in Emmerdale, like Fraser Hines. Appeared in The Blood on Satan's Claw. I guess it's a British cult horror movie. Again, I want to put the name up top just so you guys can see this stuff. Worked with Anthony Anley, who would go on to become the Master, who I believe is introduced in, it's either season 7 or season 8. And spoilers, I have some plans for that. Oh, God. Formerly a theatrical agent with clients like Nicholas Courtney, Colin Baker, and Mark Strickson, all Doctor Who actors. Discovered Matt Smith at the National Youth Theatre. And proceeded to work in film and television from 1964 to 1991. After that, I don't really have anything else. And finally, my final thoughts. It's a challenge stepping into, doing what Mr. Troughton did. He was the very first regeneration of Doctor Who. Like, if Patrick Troughton didn't do well, the series would be done. But he did do well, and the series has gone on. It went on until the 26th season, which is, I believe, 1989. If I've got that right. But, but he did well. It showed we can change the Doctor if we need to. And, yeah, so, honestly, Mr. Troughton deserves some great celebration, I feel, for his work. And also just in playing the character, rather. He's a really good actor, and I really enjoyed him, and I'm not going to guarantee I'll look into more of his work, but I wouldn't mind seeing a few more things. I also want to give shout outs to, again, Wendy Padbury and Fraser Hines, because your characters were awesome. And Doctor Who isn't just about the Doctor traveling across the universe, it's the Doctor making friends and allies and doing important things. And season 6 was excellent. Like I had 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of the 7 arcs were worth watching, with only 3 that were skippable. Or 2, I forget, whatever. But anyway, overall, it was a good season, and it was a good end to the Second Doctor. And unfortunately now, I have to take some time to work on different videos for Mr. Troughton, the Second Doctor, as well as a few other things, because that's my job as the character investigator. So, if all goes according to plan, as with last year, on a weekly basis, you're going to be getting different videos. Patrick Troughton, the actor, the Second Doctor, as a Second Doctor's adventures. I forget what else. I should also have, by this time, the cosplay enthusiast video for Patrick Troughton, for the Second Doctor, aka Patrick Troughton. And if I can get the autobiography, I will totally talk about that eventually. And I can't really think of much else to say at this point. But again, thank you, Mr. Troughton. Unfortunately, you are no longer with us. He passed away in I forget. It was like 1987, I think. But through your efforts, the show got to continue forward, and that's pretty cool. And it was a large task that was given to you, and you nailed it. Like, certainly. So, everyone, as always, have fun, stay safe, keep hydrated, and... No. Hello?